welcome to Families for Life with Bryan and Bryan, a podcast of Oak Hill Baptist Church.
Today we're talking about our top 3 favorite places.
All right, we are
Welcome back.
How's it going, everyone? Bryan, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Doing fantastic.
Yeah.
We had to makeshift move our studio this morning because we had no air conditioning. And we have special guests coming in later, which we're recording with. And so
we can suffer through, but we're not going to make our special guests suffer through.
So yeah, hopefully this sounds decent. We'll see. But I think I sound as silky smooth as ever.
Glorious. Let me just give the listeners a feel for this room. It's glorious burgundy painted walls.
Blood red, I would
burgundy,
call it.
Yeah.
Blood red.
That's true. Nice concrete and wood paneling.
Might sound a little echoey.
Glorious.
That's okay. We're thankful to have a space.
We're thankful
to have equipment to record. And we're thankful to be with you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Before we jump into this, I want to remind you to subscribe, to like, to review, do all the things that we need you to do. Share with your friends the Families for Life podcast, and you can email us back at f4l@oakhillbc.org.
I've had a lot of conversations with people about topics that we discuss on this podcast all the time, and I just think, man, I wish I could tell more people about these things, not because it's us talking about it, but because the things we're talking about, I feel like really are helpful for parents and families. And I just hope and pray that it would get out to the people who just need those sorts of conversations, need biblical insight into this stuff.
Yeah. Well, we just finished our Hard Talk series.
Exactly.
Right?
That's right.
So we had 6 episodes. If you missed that, go back and listen to it. And, we just thought we'd do a fun episode.
Yeah.
Kind of wrap things up.
Yeah, Hard Talks, we're done with the hard stuff. Let's do something fun and easy, right?
Yeah, we do these occasionally. They're good to do. They give us a little break. They're easy for us to put together. In fact, we intentionally don't talk about the notes. We don't make a lot of notes, and we don't talk about it up front because we want to get honest reactions.
We just wing it.
No, we want to get honest reactions.
You're right.
It
is true, because I don't know. I really don't know what you're going to say about these places. Like,
this is a technique.
So
Regis and Kathy Lee, Kelly as well.
Yeah.
They did not talk before the show, so that when they came on the show, they would have things to talk about. It was all natural.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, I learned that from Regis.
That's cool.
One of my personal talk show heroes.
He was pretty awesome.
Yeah. So anyway, we did not talk about this much up front.
Nope.
But this gives you a window into our lives. Helps you to understand who we are as complete people, not just like our pastoral identities. Like, we are regular people with families and
human beings.
We're human beings on the other end of this microphone. But today we're going to talk about our top 3 places we have visited.
Yes.
This seems like a pretty fun episode, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I hope so. I know I have been blessed to go to some really cool places, and it's funny, you just never really know, because it's not like, I mean, it'd be odd if you just went around like dropping the coolest places that you've been to everyone you know, and so some of these we did put it down, so I do see here on my screen where you have been, and I knew one of them, but I didn't know the other 2. Yeah. So I'm really excited.
Yours are all Disneyland. I don't know what's up with that.
Oh my gosh!
No, I'm just kidding.
Epcot, just been to all these places.
I went to what is the Aztec Village in Epcot?
Yeah.
I went to all these places.
To all of these places.
No, we did not list Disney World or Disneyland or anything like that.
That is not one of the places.
That's one of my least favorite places. No, I'm just kidding. Triggered.
I love that. Never mind. We can't get into this right now.
The Disney,
Bryan,
the Disney files
controversial
are gonna
conversation
boycott us.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so anyways, there are some really cool places on here. I'm excited to get into them.
You ready?
So yeah, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Okay, so tell me
my number.
Is this your first or your last?
This is my number 3.
Okay.
I don't know if this is any particular order. This is just how I ordered them.
Okay.
But number 3 is Jamaica, specifically Mandeville, Jamaica.
Yeah.
You were there on the trip with us.
Mm-hmm.
In 2019, we did a mission trip to Jamaica, and it was one of my favorite places. I love tropical places. I love the Caribbean is just one of the most beautiful places on the entire planet. These little islands that have their own sort of ecosystems, their own sort of culture. Much of the culture, of course, has been brought was brought over from the explorers, you know, and so different countries have different identities. It's funny because, you know, there's the country of Dominican Republic and Haiti, who one speaks, I believe one speaks Spanish and one speaks French.
Oh, really?
Or Haitian.
Yeah.
Maybe it's different. It's different languages because of the influences that
from the different European
nations. Yeah. So Jamaica has its own sort of culture as well, you know, and it's very neat to see that. We flew into Montego Bay, and then we traveled to Mandeville, which is up into the mountains a little bit. And then we did some projects working at some schools and churches and things there, helping them with some building projects, and did some ministry outreach. And the thing about Mandeville is you're kind of up in the mountains a little bit, and we traveled even further into the mountains to like these little bitty schools. And it was one of the most beautiful places on earth. Even though it's close to the equator and it's hot, you get the mountain breeze coming. Yeah. And there's just lush jungles. There's all kinds of food. There's like sugar cane, and they have these kind of the yucca, I think is what it's called. It's kind of like a potato-y plant, you know. Of course, there's all kinds of fruit everywhere, pineapples and all kinds of stuff like that. You know, as soon as you get there on the from the airport, there's people selling fruit. There's people selling other things. Yes,
there are also other things being sold there.
But the guy there is just chopping up pineapples and throwing it in a bag and just selling it right there. Sugar cane, chopping up sugar cane, putting it in the bag, you know, and you can just get it right there. And so I just thought it was. I thought the number one, the region was so very cool. Like the ecosystem and the just seeing everything that was there. There's beaches, there's mountains.
Yeah. That was what was cool about it. It was, well, I don't want to, I was just there.
No, go ahead.
But yeah, it was cool how there was literally everything there. You know, like you said, the beaches, the mountains. Yeah. You don't have to choose between the different types of landscapes you want. Yeah. But it was pretty rough terrain in certain areas.
Yeah. Right? When we're driving in the
mountains.
The mountains, yeah. Some of the roads had been washed out, and so they're still kind of there. Like you can still drive over them, but like there were some spots that were pretty rough. Yeah. A lot of people don't own vehicles there, and I noticed there was an amazing like taxi system. You would have because kids would wait as we're going to our sites. Kids would wait in front of their houses, and houses were built literally on the side of mountains.
On the road. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Both sides of the road, on the side of a mountain, there's a house. Yeah. And it was crazy to see. And, you know, the kids would be waiting, and then there'd be a taxi pull up, and people would pile in, and they'd go off to school, you know, in one of the bigger cities, you know. So everything there is close. You know, you have to drive to a lot of places, but it's all kind of close together
and it's
as
close,
well.
But it takes a while to get to places because of how windy everything is.
Exactly.
There's no like straight shots to places, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was an interesting thing.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, what was, how would you describe the beauty of the place? Like, what made it so different and amazing that it was like memorable to you? You know?
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, you're being up in the mountains, and there's like clouds really close by, and then you're looking over a lush jungle, and you can see the ocean, you know. Not too far off, and just beautiful. We went to a beach one day, and it was beautiful, clear water, and just amazing to see all that. We also visited it's a brackish, which is half saltwater, half freshwater river, the Black River, and there are alligators that or crocodiles, I can't remember which one now that I'm thinking about it, that live in this water, and it's funny because they've adapted to survive. Most of the time, alligators or crocodiles are not salt water,
fresh,
but they've adapted to live in this brackish water. It's pretty amazing. Huge alligators that we just like walked up, and the guide's like pushing on them, like they're floating in the water like big logs, and he's just like
pushing them out of the way.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I missed that part.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Another aspect of Jamaica that I love was the food. They have a very, they have such an amazing cuisine there. You know, we visited a couple places that they have those open pit barbecues. Yep. We visited that. And then the school people actually fixed, oh my gosh, amazing food. And the different thing is when they cook their meat, when they butcher their meat, they don't take any bones out. They just chop with these big knives and then throw it in the pot. And so I don't even know what all we had. I couldn't even name it, but there was this chicken dish that we had. We had curried goat. I know.
Oh wow.
The church people fixed a huge meal for us after church on Sunday, and it was like, I mean, it was just so much food. Like we were so stuffed. It was rice and meat and vegetables and fruit and just amazing food. So we ate well.
That's good
on this mission trip.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's like we
That's
lost
really
any
good.
weight, but yeah, Jamaica's beautiful, and the people were so welcoming and sweet, and just everyone was just so nice and lovely while we were there.
Yeah.
You know, we were, of course, in Mandeville. It's not a tourist location, and so we stuck out because, you know,
Yeah, that was
many of the Jamaicans most Jamaicans are from African descent. They have dark skin tone. We, of course, are, you know, Caucasian white people walking around, and we did
most of us, not all of us,
right.
A couple were
Yeah. That's true. Yes, we had some ethnicity in our group as well, but
it still stood. Everyone still stood out.
right, we still stood out, and people were like looking at us and stuff. But it wasn't like it was more like a curiosity. Like, why are you here? Most people don't visit there.
Yeah, there wasn't like hostility. It was
Right.
It was just a curiosity. Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, Jamaica was amazing.
Very cool. Well, I guess.
What's your number 3?
I'll talk about mine. These, I guess, kind of are in order for me, but it is hard to order them. So I'll talk first about my trip to Vietnam. And so Ho Chi Minh City or Saigon. This? So I've been twice, was able to go, I think it was 2013. I think it was December of 13 and December of 14. I think is when it happened. It was either 13 and 14 or 12 and 13. I can't remember. But went twice, and Vietnam is close to, you know, it's far south. It is literally, so if you live in Eastern time zone, it is literally 12 hours opposite. So you are on the opposite side of the world. And you are living in, so it's wintertime in America, and it was blazing hot in Vietnam.
Was it hard to adjust to the time zone?
Yes, kind of. It's actually easier to adjust to 12 hours off than it is to adjust to like 5 hours off.
Oh, gotcha.
It's weird how that is. And so once you get there, if you've kind of mapped out your flight and sleeping properly, then you can adjust pretty quick. It's coming back that's hard. And so we were there, and, you know, we were working with a group that did essentially culture exchanges. And so we were meeting with college students in Vietnam and discussing different aspects of our culture, talking through, you know, questions that seemed simple but really drew out a lot of really good conversations. You know, we as believers were able to talk about the gospel a lot and saw some fruit there. So that was really cool. But, you know, in Ho Chi Minh, in Saigon, it was a really cool experience. And at first I was a little scared to go, because as Christians, you know, Vietnam is a communist country, and it is a closed country. You are not able to come, and, you know, you are not allowed to proselytize. You're not allowed to, you know, share the gospel and things like that. And so, you know, just being there, being a Christian, you're always just worried about people just wanting you to leave. Thankfully, we really didn't see any of that. Ho Chi Minh is a huge city. I mean, it has millions of people, and I cannot remember the number off the top of my head, but it is a huge city.
Was it just kind of mind blowing to your like how did you perceive all of that as you're like?
Well, I had
Did
never
you have
been
like a sensory overload as you walked into the city?
Okay, so I had never actually been to like Chicago or New York before this. I think the biggest cities I had been like driven through were like St. Louis or something like that. So I was not accustomed to big cities. And
St. Louis is the New York of the Midwest, by the way.
That's true. Well, but Ho Chi Minh is like New York. I mean, it's huge. Not quite as big, but it has more people, I believe. It is an extremely dense population. and it's weird because it's a metropolis, but it's also, and I don't know, that's been some time ago, but at the time they talked about Vietnam as more like a developing third world country. And so it's like third world country in some parts and high tech in other parts. And that is a really odd thing to experience, where you're standing next to skyscrapers. One of them is like one of the tallest building in Vietnam, and you're just surrounded by all this high tech, amazing stuff. But then you've got these markets, these huge markets that you go to that look like a third world country's market, and things you see in movies. And it was a really amazing experience. The people there,
kind of a mix of like new and old, kind of coming together.
Because you had huge tour buses all over the. Kayla, actually, my wife, we were engaged, and she went the second time that I went, and she nearly got hit by a bus. I mean, because the way you do. So this is the craziest thing. They have huge tour buses, taxis everywhere, all this stuff, and millions of people on motorbikes. So motorbikes is like the thing. And it's like when you want to cross the street, when you're not at a major intersection, you essentially just start you start walking. You just kind of start walking across the street, and people are still going, and you don't stop. If you stop, you're more likely to get hit. And there,
so do they have like lights and stop signs?
They do, but
nobody obeys them.
It depends on depends on the development of that area. Right. There were some places that were like more highly developed, and people were like, we have to follow these stoplights or people are gonna die. And then there's other places that are just not as developed, and people just go. It's more like I'm gonna go when I can. And if you're not accustomed to being in a taxi in a place overseas, it is jarring. That's literally crazy. And figuratively. And but it was a beautiful place. It was a tropical place. There's palm trees and amazing fruit, similar to Vietnam or to Jamaica. Fruit everywhere. I mean, everywhere. Jackfruit. I mean, all sorts of crazy stuff. Yeah. We actually took a trip on the Mekong Delta the second time that I went, and we got to go and taste like honey made by bees. We're on these river boats on the Mekong Delta. And if you know any of the history of Vietnam, then that, some of these names, but you come in and there's people selling fruit off the ship, off their boats, their ships. They're not ships. They're not big. They're little boats that they come up with, just packed with fruit, bananas, and all sorts of crazy stuff. And the experience was just amazing. And so, I would not be opposed to going back by any means. But it
were the people welcoming?
The people were, thanks for asking that. The people were very welcoming. Some were not, but there's enough history between us and the Vietnam War that things were not as hostile as they have been in the past. There are actually a lot of foreigners that come into Ho Chi Minh, into Saigon, so they're kind of used to that there. It's when you get out of the city that it becomes
out of the
much
touristy
more,
areas,
But no, we actually were easily making friends. I mean, it was really cool how people, it was almost like we wanted to put that part of the past behind us. That's how I felt talking to most of the people. But there was really interesting, I won't get into all the, political, religious things, but there were a lot of things that are still there. It is still there's still a lot of light that needs to be shown in Vietnam.
That's awesome.
But man, it was just a great trip, and I love Vietnam. And it is weird because I come back, I have T-shirts that say Vietnam, and I have to be careful because they're still Vietnam vets, and it's like they don't perceive that the same way that I do. But the person who actually led our trip was a Vietnam vet. And he loves the country of Vietnam. And he's a believer, and he wants to see good things happen there. And I love that. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So we had a great time. It was a wonderful experience that the Lord gave to us. Oh, one thing I do want to say, in Vietnam, they celebrate Christmas just like we do, but they have no idea what it means.
Wow.
So in the heat of the summer, it's like 98 degrees outside, and they're celebrating Christmas. They use tinsel and tinfoil to make it look like snow, because they don't have anything else to make it look like snow. So they use tinfoil all over the place. And they have nativity scenes, and they have no idea what it means.
Wow.
And so one of the things we got to do is talk to them about
Tell them what that's
what
about.
Christmas is actually about. And they really enjoyed that because they were like, they had no idea. They just liked the,
Isn't that crazy?
the funness of Christmas.
The cultural part of it. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But that was an interesting thing. So anyways, those were good times.
Yeah.
And, you got some really cool places you've been. I'm
Well, yeah,
excited to hear this next one.
Yeah, number two. So part of growing up for me, we lived in Michigan, and it wasn't Michigan that we visited, by the way, but we lived there.
You lived there.
And if you know anything about Michigan, winter sports there are huge. Huge hockey, snowmobiling is huge, and of course, skiing. And I grew up skiing. I tried snowboarding, didn't ever get the hang of it. I just liked skiing a lot more. And so we would ski a lot growing up, a lot. We had season passes at one of the mountains that was a couple hours away, and we'd go there a lot of the weekends in the wintertime. And so there were a couple times, though, that we flew out west, and I was blessed to go to Colorado once. But the trip I remember the most, and that was the best time I had, was Park City, Utah. And so I know your places are super exotic, but
whatever.
I think
this is Utah's amazing. I've never been. I've been through Utah.
The Rocky Mountains are amazing.
Yeah.
If you've never been or seen the Rocky Mountains, they are something to behold because it's like literally there's flat ground, and then out of the ground,
it's just nothing. Yeah.
There's these huge giant mountains. And I think about when I think about that, for whatever reason, I think about like the pioneers and people like trying to like see these mountain ranges and try to make their way through like the Oregon Trail or whatever. And like, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. You know, I can't believe, so much stuff out west. You have the Grand Canyon, you have all of these natural wonders, and the Rocky Mountains are part of that. And so we went skiing in Utah, and the mountains there are just different, because they're so high. The ski resorts are huge, and you have to take multiple chairlifts to get to the top, and your ski runs, whereas like Michigan, your ski run's like 30 seconds, a minute, if you really stretch it out. And but up there it's multiple 5-10 minute runs. It takes a long time to get down to. You're almost like tired by the time you get down at the end of the run. You got to rest because you're like, man, that's a workout. But I remember. We were at Park City Resort. That's where we stayed. But then one day we went over to Deer Valley, and this was the most beautiful ski resort I'd ever been to. And they, for whatever reason, on this day in particular, it's one of these core memories that were formed in my mind. And for whatever reason, there seemed like, I'm sure this isn't true, but it seemed like there was nobody there.
Yeah.
But us. There was just very few people, I guess. And we were skiing, and they had like double blues, which meant like it was a fairly challenging, but like it had, the reason it was double blues because there would be trees in the path. Not a ton, but like a few trees you'd have to ski around. And I remember for whatever reason, like it was in the afternoon, and the sun was, not setting, but it was going down, the shadows on the trees. And it was just one of those perfect days. Sometimes when you ski, it's gray and misty and kind of nasty, and you kind of expect that. For whatever reason, this was one of those days where like it was cold but like warm at the same time.
Yeah. Like
because the sun was shining down.
It's like you're skiing in like maybe a long sleeve shirt
at
the most.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're skiing, and I'm looking out past the trees, and you see just like the mountains, and you see everything kind of spread out before you, and you're skiing down this, and it was just an amazing like day, and I'll never forget how beautiful that was. And that really helped me, like, and I wasn't a Christian at the time, but as I've thought back on these places, you can definitely see God's glory in that, and you're like, wow, I was so blessed to be able to experience like that one perfect day.
And it's cool that God was like giving that to you when you weren't even a believer. Like you had not reciprocated love to him. You've not like received his love through Christ, but he was still just pouring out his love onto you. And I think that's really cool because, unbelievers, like wicked, the worst people you can imagine, still get to experience some of these amazing things, right?
Well, you can get a glimpse of the pre-fall world, in the beauty that God has created. And so I was so blessed to see that. Park City was just amazing. I mean, there's just the town that's there, and the ski resorts and everything are just awesome. So it's just it's such a part of like who I was as a child growing up.
Yeah.
And it's just such a great memory. I've not been skiing in a long time. I don't live near a ski resort.
Yeah, there's nothing worthwhile.
Nothing fantastic. I mean,
maybe I shouldn't.
I would love to do that and love to teach my kids to ski one day, but that's just not.
Well, like the most I've done is I've done some of the ones here, near about a few hours from here. But the best one I've been to is in Virginia. That does nothing compared to what you're talking about.
Yeah, I've been to a ski resort in West Virginia, and those on the Appalachian Mountain are good too. Yeah,
but they're not like what you're talking
the
about.
The Rockies are just different.
So did you do?
And I'm sure that European people are like, oh, you must go to the Alps.
The Alps.
The Alps are much better than the Rockies. But
the Alps. Yeah. So were you? So Black Diamond. That's what it's called, right? That's like the hardest.
Well,
course,
they
right?
actually have double black diamonds as well.
My goodness.
So they have.
Man.
There are extreme.
Can you do those?
I could do a black diamond.
Okay. Out there in like Utah?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Because I just know
I attempted that.
I've been with people to the places here and like you do a black diamond and they're like, oh no, this is not
yes,
the same.
That is true.
Right.
The black diamonds that we had in Michigan were not like most of them were just, they weren't as, the challenging part of them was they were just steep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you like really kind of traversed and skied across the mountain, you were fine. Yeah.
Out west, it's like there's like cliffs.
Yeah,
I don't know. I have no idea, but
it was definitely much more challenging. So I don't necessarily remember those in particular, but I'd have to I have to go back and look at.
Well, I think that's super cool because I didn't know that about you at all. Like I did not know that you skied. I didn't know you were like skied a lot. I didn't know that.
I used to ski. I wonder if it's like riding a bike. I wonder if I pop on some skis, I'd be able to.
I'm sure.
Ski like
that'd
I
be
used
fun.
to.
We should plan a trip with like students or something.
I love it.
Yeah,
I loved it. So, what about you, Mr. World Traveler? What's your number 2?
Okay, so my number 2, and this is hard. This was a hard thing for me because I don't know. I just have been blessed to see a lot of really cool places. In America, been to a lot of places in America. But when you go abroad and you see some of these places, they're just breathtaking. We went to Cairo, Egypt, some years ago. I think this was 2016. This was actually this was the same year that I came on staff here at Oak Hill.
Oh, okay.
But it was just before that.
Oh, okay. I was going to say
May.
I didn't remember you going on this trip, but it was before you started working.
I met you like months after this trip.
Wow.
It was an amazing trip. And the way it worked out, we were there doing similar things that we did in Vietnam. It was essentially a tour guide company, and we went to be with them, and we would meet up with college students and take tours. The college students would take us through Cairo and show us the different really amazing, super historical places. And we would get to talk with them about their culture. They would talk with us about our culture. And we made some really good friends. I mean, I would still, text with my friend Muhammad from time to time. And it was amazing.
So in my mind, this is my naive ignorance. When you think about Egypt, you think of like sand and pyramids and all that. Describe the scene. Is it like that, or is it different?
Yes and no. So like the pyramids. Okay, so in Cairo, you can technically see the pyramids from the city, and the desert is like right on the edge of the city. Okay. But normally the I guess fog or smog or whatever it actually is makes it to where you can't, the visibility is really low. So while it is technically in eye shot, it's really hard to see unless you have just like a perfectly clear day. It makes me think of like San Francisco and the Golden Gate Bridge. Like you normally can't see the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right.
And so we saw like the outlines of the pyramids from one of the fortresses that was there in Cairo that was made during the Saracen kingdoms, the Muslim kingdoms at kind of Middle Ages time frame. Okay. And so I can't remember all the dates, but it was an amazing historical thing because you've got thousands and thousands of years of history and different periods of history happening in this one city. And so you're just kind of like overwhelmed by the different periods of historical things that are there. You got the ancient Egyptians, then you've got like actually the Roman, people, and then you've got the Saracen kingdoms, and so it's just so much history. And for me, I loved it. I mean, I thought that was amazing. A lot of really hard, dark things happened in Cairo as well. But some of the coolest things we got to do is we got to go to a mosque, and that was both really cool, but also super dark. And one of the things about it is in the mosque, they would even joke with us, like the son of the original Muhammad was supposedly, like, I guess his head or something was supposedly held there in this super famous mosque in Cairo.
That's creepy.
But they actually don't know if that's true or not, because there's another mosque elsewhere that claims the same thing. So they don't really know what's going on.
Well, it's like Catholic churches claiming all the relics, like we have a piece of the cross.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
And so that was both really cool and really dark at the same time. But it was an amazing experience. Some of the coolest things that we got to do is so you're right about the sand and stuff. Once you get to the name of the like town or village or whatever on the outskirts of Cairo, boom, there's the pyramids. They're just right there.
Wow.
And so you don't have to go out in the middle of nowhere to find the pyramids. There's just the desert. It's right there. And it's like city, desert. It's crazy. And
is the Nile near there?
Okay, so yeah, I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, that's a great, Nile goes right through Cairo. And so we got to ride camels. One of my friends who went with us on this trip went back the next year, and they got to go four-wheeling. And I was like, that's so unfair. Like, come on, man. They're like four-wheeling in the desert near the...
That would be awesome.
Things. It was amazing. So, but we got to ride camels and got some really cool pictures of us.
That's what people do. We take an amazing site, and then we like soup it up with four wheels
I know.
or helicopter tours and stuff like that.
So we got to do that and got to go to the museum there and see King Tut's tomb and all sorts of things in the museum. But the coolest thing ever was that we actually got to go inside the Great Pyramid.
Really?
And so there's the three pyramids. The biggest one is called the Great Pyramid, and they switch it around every so often, so you don't get to go into only one. They will open up the different ones and close off other ones. And so you're going around, you're just seeing all these hieroglyphs. I mean, it's exactly like you see on TV.
Wow.
And we go up into this thing, and you get into the tomb room, and it's about as big as the room we're sitting in right now. And so it's like maybe 15 by 15 or something. So it's small up in there, and you're in the middle of the pyramid. And it is crazy. There's nothing in there anymore. It's been raided and stuff, but that was a insane experience.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is one of the most famous places in the world, and I'm standing right in the middle.
Wow, man.
So
what about Bible times? Was there any historical biblical things there?
Yes and no. They don't really do. There's a lot of.
It's not like the Holy Land or anything like that.
No, it's not like that. They don't. They reference like the Jewish slavery, but they don't think that really happened. So like most of the people that you talk to there are going to say that didn't really happen, and there's biases for that, right?
Sure.
There's reasons why they don't want to accept that happened. And so, or the biggest thing that they try to do is say, no, the pyramids were built by the people, they were paid, it wasn't slave labor,
Sure.
blah, blah, blah. And it's like, nobody really knows, because then they say, also, some people think that aliens helped build the pyramids. They literally don't know how the pyramids were built.
The pyramid is the landing spot for the alien ship, so it can land.
Or it's a telecommunication device that they use. They literally don't know how it's made. And the cool thing too is that Jesus, this was what I found out, Jesus was actually alive closer, he was alive closer to the lunar landing than he was to the pyramids being built.
Wow.
That's how old they are. So Jesus, lived in, right at AD 1, right? And the pyramids were built longer ago than the distance of time between Jesus being alive and 69.
Wow.
So So it's a pretty cool thing. But another cool thing we did about the Nile, the last day we were there, we got on a sailboat on the Nile and ate KFC chicken.
I was going to ask about the food. So KFC was the highlight of the food there?
Okay, we got deathly ill eating the food in Cairo.
Really?
And one of the things, and I'm not trying to be hateful because there was a lot of really good food there, but somebody that was preparing us for the trip was like, do you notice that there's not a lot of Egyptian food restaurants around? There's a reason for that, because the food is just there's not a whole lot of spectacular cuisine that is specific to Egypt.
Okay.
But there is a ton of fruit. So we ate tons of fruit, like smoothies and things like that. It's just everywhere you could get a smoothie at the drop of a hat. It was amazing in that regard. But we had to be careful. We ate at a local place and got super duper sick, like really bad, and pulled through. So I won't go into the details.
Wow.
About it.
Yeah, please. Thank you.
So, but that was a huge blessing, and again, it's another place I would just love to go. I made some friends
Location, 10 out of 10. Food, 1 out of 10.
not so much. Yeah. So, but you've been to a really awesome
Number
place.
one.
Number one.
I don't know. I don't know if I rank these in any sort of like order, but here's the thing. I love a beach.
Mm-hmm.
I love a beach. We try to go to Florida every so often. We visit other places as well, but I personally love a beach. I keep joking with my wife that I'd like to retire someday
you're joking. Okay.
near a beach. And she's like, well, have fun with that. I'll be somewhere else. No, just kidding. But I would love to be near a beach. I love it. It's so amazing and calming. I love the ocean. And so when I was just into college, I believe, or right out of high school, I can't remember exactly, but it was around that time, around when I was 18 or 19, we were blessed to be able to go to Hawaii. Went to the island of Maui. It was my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary, and so we all went out there. My mom, stepdad, sister, my aunts, and their families came out. And Hawaii is just beautiful. Of course, I mean, there's lots of touristy things to do.
Yeah.
But Hawaii, there's a reason that it's so beautiful, and why people want to go there is because, and why they want to travel there is because it is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Once again, it's a tropical climate. The awesome thing about Hawaii is we got off the plane, and the airport in Honolulu had the hallways are open. Like there's no windows. It's just like there's a roof.
Oh, wow. Oh.
And so because it's so nice.
Yeah.
The climate there is so temperate. I mean, it may get hot a little bit, but it doesn't stay hot for very long. And
Really?
it may rain, but then the rain passes through. Like I think it rained every day we were there almost, but like for 10, 20 minutes. Like the storms just blow right through and pass over so quickly. And it's just kind of part of life. But yeah, it was amazing how the climate was tropical and just amazing. And so, we did, of course, the beach was there, and it was, we experienced the beach, and it was amazing and beautiful. But one of the most, the best experiences that we had there, we did a snorkeling. That was great. And that was beautiful. But the most beautiful experience we had was we did a hike into I believe it was a national forest there in Maui. And it was like a half day hike, and you had to travel up the mountain, and we're making our way to a waterfall, basically a giant, huge waterfall that you could only get to. So the tour guide takes us in his van. We stop at one part and we have to swim. There's this one part you can only swim to this area. So this was like a side excursion. So we swam to this area, and it was beautiful. And there was a little waterfall there. And then we hike up through the forest. And part of going through the forest is this bamboo forest. So bamboo grows really fast, and the forest there becomes lush and dense. And he was like, don't get off the trail, because if you get too far off and you can't see the trail, you'll get turned around. You won't know where you're at. You won't know what direction, because everything looks exactly the same.
Man.
And it's all bamboo. And so you did not want to get lost there. But, we're walking through there. He points out some plants like the apui plant, which is it's a main ingredient in like the Paul Mitchell shampoo.
Oh, wow. Oh.
And it has that smell to it. You know, it's the natural. And so you pick up the plant like, oh my gosh, that's like shampoo right there.
That's crazy.
And they would actually, the Polynesian people would use it for that reason. Yeah.
Wow.
They would use it as a part of scenting their body and cleaning themselves. And
Man,
so,
that is cool.
yeah, so we traveled up there, and like there's fruit. We went through a mango forest, like dense mango trees.
Was awesome.
Mangoes are just like, I mean, they had gotten so ripe they'd fallen off the tree, and they were just rotting on the ground. There were mangoes everywhere. You know, we went through another like papaya or passion fruit or papaya. I can't remember which one, but like, once again, there's fruit everywhere. Tropical climates, there's fruit everywhere. But we made it to the waterfall, this huge 100-foot waterfall. You know, you go underneath the water and it hurts because it's so falling so far. And it was just a beautiful waterfall and a beautiful place. And so that was definitely a highlight, key experience, was being able to go there. Of course, you know, being with my family was another big part of that. You know, the food there was pretty normal. Like, we did sample like the suckling pig and the poi and stuff like that. But like, you know, you eat at the hotel and it's like, you just want a cheeseburger. Yeah. But they do serve like pineapple with everything. Yeah. Like you order cheeseburger, side of pineapple. Everyone gets pineapple.
It's like French fries for us.
Exactly. But we did stop at like one day we needed a quick lunch. So we stopped at McDonald's. Yeah. And it was true even back then, like fast food prices and things that have to be imported are more expensive there. Really? Yeah. So there are a lot of things
I've heard the cost of things there.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that are more expensive if it has to be imported. Yeah. So they eat a lot of like Spam is really big over there because that it's a canned meat that can travel and they can store it for a long time. So
that's pretty wild.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but that's a big thing. So
I have quite a few friends actually that are from Hawaii who went to school. We all went to school together, and they went back and they're doing ministry there. And it was always fun to hear them talk about. I've never been to Hawaii, and it seems like an amazing place.
It is literally one of the most beautiful places on earth. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things I do hear though is people talk about, like, you know, if they go to do mission stuff at Hawaii, it's like, oh, suffering for Jesus. And in the sense, like the climate is amazing, but the people,
most of the time. So any place like I've heard this about Mexico. This is true about Hawaii and other places like that, where when there's a huge resort kind of community, when you get off of the resort, there can be people that are working at the resorts and things, and their economic situation may not be the best.
To put it lightly.
And there are many people in Hawaii that are native that can be suffering in poverty. I know there's a huge drug problem there, and so it's, you know, it is hard to you know, you obviously are there to enjoy yourself and be a part of it, but they need people to go and support them. So going in tourism is how
it's not a bad thing.
People make their money.
It's not a bad thing,
but you're right.
Need to have that.
As soon as you get off the resort, you get off of these areas, you do see that there are, you know, a lot of hurting people there.
Yeah, and they're people just like us. They need the Lord just like us. But well, I'll end this with my last, and I have to. This is definitely my favorite place, and I both have to say this, but it is true at the same time, because it was our honeymoon destination, and we decided, we found actually just an amazing deal. Like, it just worked out, and we decided to go to Santorini, Greece, and it was unbelievably amazing.
Is that near someplace that we would know?
No. I mean, it's just an island of Greece, so it's close to Greece, but you have to, like, we had to go through Athens, which was another really cool spot, because we did go around and go see the Areopagus and things like that. That was really cool. But we ended up in Santorini, and it was just a beautiful, amazing. It's a honeymoon spot. I mean, it's kind of where we met like several couples on their honeymoons. We were like, honeymoon, nice, okay. And so that was fun, but it was there's tons of history there. Even though it's just an island, it's an old island. It's been, you know, populated for thousands of years, and there were two really intense, like, amazing historical dig sites. And so one of them, so here's how it kind of worked out. you can the island is not very big, and it's shaped almost like a crescent moon. They notice, if you look at it real close, it actually looks kind of like a donkey. And there's also like a bunch of donkeys that live on the island, which is a thing. So you'll see a lot of things about donkeys on the island. Well, you can rent cars, you can rent little motorized vehicles, and you can rent four-wheelers. And so we just rented a four-wheeler. It's the cheapest one. We get this four-wheeler, and you can drive it all up and down the island. And so we go down to the bottom tip of the island to one of the famous beaches there, and we're hanging out at this beach, and we notice there's something up on top of this. It's like, I don't want to say a mountain, but it's like a cliff side, and on top of it there was stuff up there. We asked what it was, and they were like, oh yeah, it's an ancient historical site. We're like, what? And so, like, how do you get there? And they're like, well, actually, if you go back this way, you can rent donkeys and ride donkeys up this hillside up to this historical site. And so we just randomly rent these donkeys, ride up this hillside, check out this super ancient, historical site, and see a bunch of really cool things, and columns and places where they had like public baths and things like that. And we're just checking this out, and the thing we didn't know is that they weren't gonna keep our donkeys up the top of the hill. We only got to ride them up. We didn't get to ride them back.
One way ride.
So we were like stuck, and so we had to just walk down this hillside, and we get down, our feet are cut and stuff, and we get down, and it was still one of the coolest experiences. And so we hop on our four-wheeler and just drive back to the place we were staying, and that was kind of like every day. It was just like a random adventure that we took. And
I was looking this island up on the Google Maps here, and it looks pretty far away from the main island.
Is it far away?
It seems like it. Yeah,
it's been
it's
7
in the
years
middle.
now.
It's in the middle of the sea there, right? The Sea of Crete.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's
it is
crazy.
close to Crete. I think it's close to Crete.
Well, you see all of these little islands
there's
here.
There's a bunch of islands.
Yeah, there's
around.
a bunch of little islands.
And every day we could see. So we were in a place. So it's really small. You can walk between most of these places, but there's a place called Firostofani, which is where we were on the island. So Firostofani, and then there's Ira, which is at the top of the island. And I cannot remember the place at the bottom, but at the very tip of the bottom of the island, there's a lighthouse. And one of the days we took our four-wheeler down to the lighthouse, and we took a bunch of pictures there. And then we took our four-wheeler all the way back up to Ira, which is supposed to be like the most. So you could
drive. How long was that trip?
An hour and a half, 2 hours
on
maybe.
A four-wheeler.
On a four-wheeler, and I was going, but yeah, she's just. I mean, this was a magical thing. Like my like new wife is just like holding on to me, and I'm just like driving this four-wheeler up. We saw like this place off the side of the road that was like a random trail, and I was like, "You want to do it?" She's like, "Okay," like cool. And so we just like go off the side of the road, and I'm driving all over the place.
That's crazy.
It was amazing.
That's awesome.
And another thing we got to do is we got to visit there's a volcano there. And so I think I cannot remember. I think we took a boat ride over to this volcano that is just off of the island. And so we were standing on an active volcano, which is pretty amazing. There's like smoke coming out everywhere. But you had to ride donkeys down this steep ravine to get down to the port where they had cruise ships coming in all the time. So there's cruise ships every day. And the food was fantastic. I mean, you can't. Every single night we would go to a place and just eat something different, and could not believe how good the food was. It was insane. And we went to this one place called The Bone and had the best steak I've never had steak better than that. It was perfectly cooked. I just can't describe how amazing it was. And I know it was our honeymoon, but like
everything was magical.
It really was that good, though. It just was. And
I've wanted to go to Greece for a long time. You're making me want to go now.
Just know the mainland is cool and it's like really historical, but the islands are where it's at because that's where a lot of the tourism happens, and so they make it nice. And it costs some money, but it's not outrageous in comparison to other normal vacation spots.
You can't get a boat and just travel around the different islands.
Yeah, I mean, like you literally can rent. You just buy a ticket and you just go.
Wow.
And they have those.
Sounds
it's amazing.
awesome.
It's totally doable. If you go on vacations at all, like if you're a person, you're listening to this and you go to Disney World, then you can do this trip.
Yeah, especially now. Disney World is crazy expensive.
Exactly. So we've
Family
been
of
blessed.
6. We're gonna take it. We're gonna take out a second mortgage on our house.
No, thank you.
Go to Disney.
Well, okay, so these are beautiful places. We've been blessed to go to them, but I mean, there are like tons of other places that I've been that have just been like amazingly beautiful.
Well, that's the thing. What's so comforting about these trips and the memories? Why do you think that they're, you think about these things and even though like there's probably things were not perfect and there are probably things you could remember that were troublesome about the trips.
100%. Yes.
Why do you think though that we go back and we try to remember these things and they're so comforting to us?
Well, I think it's cool to see the way God blesses us to experience what he's created, to experience the people that he's created, the different types of people, and to realize we are the same. This is one of the things I would even talk to like the Vietnamese people about. Like, we are the same and we are different.
Yeah.
And that is a beautiful thing that God made on purpose for his glory. And so, just getting to see that and experience that. And if you think about the Lord, you can see his glory through all of those realities.
Right.
And it's funny, when you think back on these things, there were hard times, but you don't really think about that stuff. You kind of forget that. And I think that's a grace of God. He doesn't let us like the hard things were not the things that we remember the most. It's really the awesome stuff that are just breathtaking we remember.
Yeah, I think it's good to remember the blessings of God. We need to remember the wonders of life and think back on these things often, because if we don't, then we'll get so focused on like things that are happening. I don't know about you, but there's a tendency to go negative a lot, oh God, why is this happening? And we're really thinking about like in the moment, or even borrowing trouble from the future, and saying this could happen and not even like knowing what's going to happen. But if we think back to even the good and bad, all the things that God's led us to experience and where he's brought us through, it's a good reminder for us to do that, I think. And so it's good to think back on these trips. And you're right, it is about the people, it is about the places, and seeing all that both of those are part of God's creation. And it's important, you can get like, if you don't travel a lot, and I'm not saying you have to travel a ton, but even just a little bit. But if you can get really like, this is my world, where I live is my world.
Right.
But the world is so much bigger, and there's so many other things out there. There's amazing cultures, there's amazing food, there's amazing places out there, and I think it's good to try, if we're able to experience as much as we can. So.
Yeah, because you get to experience things, and what you don't want to do is have experience dictate reality to you. You want God's word to help you see these experiences, and then you actually grow in your understanding of God and yourself. It's a pretty amazing thing when you just hold on to your Christian worldview and then go experience the things in the world. But what makes these places so special?
Yeah,
like, why are they so amazing?
I think part of it is the places with we talked about that they are glorious. They shout the glory of God when you see that. But I also think it's spending time with friends and family, loved ones. I mean, you think about some of the people that you've been on these
bonding
trips with, and you are bonded with them, whether it's family or friends, whether it's a mission trip or a vacation. I mean, these are memories that you'll never forget. I mean, these become core memories of your life.
Yeah, and the people, like you reconnect with these people, and you instantly just have that bond even still.
So, I mean, for that, amazing. It doesn't have to be. I mean, if you're like, man, I can't take a trip to Greece, or I can't go to the Rocky Mountains. It could be somewhere nearby. It could be a lake. You could go camping. You could do a weekend away with your grandparents. Once again, it's about spending time with your loved ones. It's about enjoying God's creation.
Yeah, because the things that there's tons of other things that I could talk about that we're just spending time with my grandparents, spending time with my aunt and uncle, spending time with my mom and dad. And while we didn't go to the most amazing, fantastical places in the world, we did go to places and we experienced life together. Yeah, and that's really what it's all about, right?
That's right. Sometimes the places are just an excuse to spend time with the people that you love.
That's exactly right. And God has given us a playground called the world that we get to experience life together on. So let's just go do it, right?
Yeah, that's good.
Cool.
Well, thanks for being with us today. Once again, we just wanted to have a little bit of fun and talk about our life a little bit. And so we appreciate you sticking with us. Have got a couple of episodes coming up, and then we're taking a break.
Yes.
We've got a break in the month of so July 4th will be our last episode. We got
Yep.
something special in mind for that. And then we're going to take a 4-week break. We'll be back August. I believe our release date will be August 8th. Is that correct?
I think that's right.
August 8th we'll be back. We've got a busy summer, and it's good to take a break. And
rest is good.
rest is good. Not that we'll be resting. We got lots
No,
of
we
other
really
things on the
won't.
docket. We get a break from this. We're so thankful that we get to do this. We have now been over 2 years of podcasting, and we've made it a priority to keep doing this, and God has just blessed us to be able to do that. So we're so thankful, and thank you for listening. We could not do this without all of our listeners.
It means a lot to us, and so thank you for doing that. We hope that it is making an impact in your life.
Yep.
Cool. Well,
that's it for today.
All right, and we will
see you next time. We need to be like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Trying to get your mouth warmed up.
Somebody told me one, and I can't remember what it was, but it was pretty good.
Peter Piper picked up a peck of peppers.
That was not terrible.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper.
That's a hard one.
That one
The P sound is really hard.